Mattowarrior's Metal Madness.
Hey everybody, it's Mattowarrior of Mattowarrior's Metal Madness. It is today is October 26th, 2023, and I have not done an episode for about 5 months. I did not know where the time went. I was in a different dimension for a while that was prevented from doing more episodes. But I can tell you that right now. I promise to do more episodes in the coming days and the future because I will be doing more episodes. I decided that I'm going to be doing that. So I don't really have an excuse, honestly, like that's that great other than that, dimensional travel, but I guess that's fine. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know what excuse I could use to say that I've been preoccupied with other things, but I promise, and I will promise. Actually, I'll promise on my. I don't know. I don't know what to promise on. You know how people promise on something. I promise to on my. I don't know. On my left nad. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't know what to promise on, but I promise to do more episodes. I will do more episodes because I feel like doing more episodes, and I will try. I want to try to get this actually a little bit more. I'm not going to use the word professional, but a little bit more consistent and a little more quality, and just have that point of view put out there because I think I do have a point of view. So in the meantime, though, the ironic thing has been that I've been getting more into a lot of different bands and stuff in the last 5 months since I've done an episode. I don't know why I know I'm blabbing about this, but I will do a lot more. I don't know who I'm apologizing to, but myself. It's all about myself. No. It's basically I want to do more episodes and I want to get this to a level of quality and a level of consistency. I'm not going to promise every week that I'll be doing an episode, but I will be doing probably, if it's not every week, it'll be every 2 weeks. And you can take that to the bank. You definitely can take that to the bank. So, yeah. Before I do a quote from another movie that I watched a long time ago, with a very controversial person, who I think is a kind of a prick, but take that to the bank, to the blood bank. I'll take that to the blood bank. Or take you to the blood bank, I mean. Oh, keep triggering the news sound. So if you hear that in the background, that'll be what I do next is the news because I usually do that. I haven't done it for a while. I haven't actually gone on Blabbermouth for a long time that much. Here and there I'll go on there, but I just really get kind of bored with a lot of stuff. But there actually is some news to talk about today, which my ad block actually blocked Blabbermouth for a couple of minutes, and I had to maneuver that. But thankfully it's going through now, so because I have ad block on my certain browsers that I use. So anyways, I apologize, actually. I will apologize for not doing an episode because for 4 or 5 months or whatever it's been, wow. Because I do want to take this seriously and stuff. So one of the reasons why is because I did finish my album, which is the band is called Pathless Land, and it's the album's called Bloodlines. By the way, I did not take that from Tigers of Pantane or anybody that's used that title. Of course, it's probably been used before. Even I had that idea. I'll talk a little bit about it. I know a lot of people probably don't favor my music that I release and stuff. It's probably not, to everybody's taste, and I realize that. It's basically just what I like to do. And if it's bad, it's bad. It's good, it's good. I don't know. I can't really say. I'm not a good judge of my own stuff. So, anyways, what I was going to say about that is that the premise of this album, the actual title, was actually 2013 or 14. 2013, I believe, is when I started getting the idea for this. So it's been 10 years since I had the title. You can go on my my channel on YouTube and see, this has been kind of a title for a long time. You look at the old videos. So I released this. I did 50 CDs, not CDRs, with a case and everything, and booklet, not really a booklet, but a little, insert. And, it's just what I wanted to do. I wanted to release it at this point. So I was working on that a lot, and that's part of the reason why for the delay, but I'm going to try not to let those types of things get in the way of doing this podcast anymore, because it's not that hard to do. Honestly, there is some work involved, but it's not that hard. It might get harder in the future, especially if there's a fluffer. No, I'm just kidding. Terrible sense of humor today. I'm not very funny today. So, because I had a little bit of a passive-aggressive comment about taking off tomorrow from a certain person. Never mind. Anyways, because I did take off tomorrow. But anyways. So I was a little triggered by that, and going home, there was a detour that I had to take, and it was kind of a pain in the ass, so I'm just kind of a little flustered by that. I don't know. Maybe. So, anyways, I released the album. I'm going to be doing more music, regardless of what people think about it. I don't really care. I'm being in a kind of defensive mode. So I'm going to be releasing more music. I'll probably be releasing an EP this fall or winter, early next year, depending, because there's some songs that I want to re-record with the singer that's on this album, and then some other stuff I want to add too. And then in the meantime, I'm also in a cover band called Rock Invasion. Played 2 shows so far, which is not that much, but I'm going to continue to do that as well. Now, the question is, am I going to bare my soul about this? What do I want to do with regards to both projects? Well, I do want to do both projects at this point. Now, if one does take over, like I've said before, and, I don't know who it's going to be in, what live configuration for what, there might be crossover, who knows, at least with some people. Now, the thing is, I don't know what I'm going to do with regards to having both projects go simultaneously, because they might get in the way of one, but I'm just going to throw the shit up in the air, the poop up in the air, and see where it lands. And down the road, if you are dirty from it, then it is what it is. So it's kind of gross. But yeah, I don't really care about what I'm going to do with it. I don't know. I don't really know how I'm going to maneuver being in 2 music projects. I'm actually in 3 or 4 when it comes down to it. Some of them are very long term, and I've contributed here and there to this or that, so it's not like I'm just part of 1 or 2 projects. It's like I have multiple projects, and I'm happy when I can shuffle or juggle a few of them at the same time. In a way, I'm not really like a person that likes to just sit on one thing. I like to have at least 2 projects going, so in a way, that's in a way, it's like someone I'm about to talk about, actually. So the interview today, I am doing an interview today too, where I have an interview that I did the other day with Mike from the band Where the Children Play, a very good, promising new project. They've already recorded in this band. Just before I, talk about the news, just wanted to say Where the Children Play have done like 4 or 3 albums and like 1 EP and all these singles. They've done all this stuff within 2 years. So their first release, Ode to the Demon Witch, was July 24th, 2022. So I mean, these guys have me and even my friends that do a lot of music beat. Like, this is like insane. And I've seen there's like some other like black metal artist from France that has done like 20 albums a year or something. I don't even know what they do, but they're probably of interminable quality compared to these guys. So I'll be talking about that momentarily. So anyways, the news segment. All right. Well, I was going to conclude what I was going to say. So I don't know what my projects are going to do. I'm gonna try to do a little bit at a time of everything. That's just like a lesson for life. Is just to try to do a little bit here and there, because it all adds up. So I have some bad habits, not drugs, or alcohol. I drink about like one to three beers a week now. So actual beers and actual drinks. So I don't have like a problem. I do have bad habits, and one of my bad habits is YouTube, like news, like politics, and like edgy kind of stuff like that. That's kind of my bad habit. It's terrible. My phone said once that I had 7 hours of usage a day. It's gone down to 4 or 5, and still too much. I'll listen to podcasts, blah blah blah, etc. So I'm trying to cut down on that kind of stuff because it's not helpful with all these projects that I'm doing. Right now, I came back home after work, and I think I listened to a little bit of some political thing, and then I shut it off, But, that's good that I just, got on right away and try to do more of this podcast and stuff. So I'm going to be trying to cut down on a lot of that stuff too, and that's the only way to be able to shuffle or juggle all this stuff that I'm doing, which is a lot. I'm not only doing music either. I mean, there's other stuff I'm doing as well. So, or music related stuff. I mean, I'm not only doing that. So I'm doing a lot of stuff, but it just, as far as the album, I was trying to focus on that. I was trying to be more focused on one thing for a while, which, come to find out, if you're focused on it at the time, it's fine, but just focusing on that and wasting your time otherwise, it's stupid too. So I've decided to just do a bunch of stuff at once and try to focus at one thing at a time, but also not focus on stupid stuff. But anyways, if that makes any sense, that's about all for that. So we're gonna go to the news. I'm gonna have the corny music momentarily. So it's time for the news segment of this podcast. And what I usually do, of course, is go to the first page of Blabbermouth, which blocked me at first because of ad block, whatever. So let's see what's going on today. Blabbermouth. Latest news. Creators, Mie Petroza. In the year 2023, war should be a thing of the past. Yeah, without getting too political, it's not looking good right now. A lot of people were talking about this for the past few years. It's been kind of a thing that people predicted. I'm not going to go into like the conspiracy stuff right now, but like there have been people that are predicting, the big one, the third one, you know what I mean? If you count like a big war as, the third big one, World War III, people have been predicting that for a while. For a few years at least. Regardless of your preferred political candidate or preferred person, people have talked about that for a while. There are some people, pontificators, that have talked about that in various mediums. I hope it does not happen. I will try my best to resist anything that comes upon us. I'm not going to say that a certain person, if they would have been president, or a certain politician would have been able to prevent things if things do happen. I don't know. There's a lot of complications with that. So I do know that there's been a lot more the last 2 years that are, 2+ years. Or wait, yeah, almost 2 years than there has been in a long time. So regardless of who you support or who you like, just keep that in mind. Now, that said, there were like record number of drone bombings and stuff under certain people too. that are no longer in power too. So I'm trying to be as oblique as, and vague as possible. So that's, I agree with him. It should be a thing in the past. There should be other ways to fight things like maybe we should have wrestling matches or, kind of between world leaders and stuff, or, boxing matches or something. Anyways, enough about that. Peter Frampton perform A Father's Promise. I don't know, whatever. Okay. It's not that I don't like Peter Frampton, but it's just not a very compelling story. Butcher Babies, Mudvayne, okay. Avenged Sevenfold, The Game, British guitarist Sophie Lloyd, never heard. Enter Sandman, Nile. Oh, Nile, here we go. So Nile are coming back. I like Nile, so cool band. I'm just gonna say that. Doesn't just because there's just more exciting things for me right now. Trying to be as nice as I can to all these bands that I'm reading about. So, former Dream Theater drummer Mike Mangini announced his release date track for debut solo album. I'm not going to read the story. That'll come in a second, what I'm about to talk about, because I'll probably be talking about it for a little bit. Bush, yeah. Jeff Scott Soto. I'm not going to spoil the surprise. Because I want to talk about it a little bit. So, Ronnie Romero calls out Adrian Vandenberg for not telling the truth about the end of their working relationship. Okay. Bill Ward has a poem. New Year's Day. I've never heard of that band. The Beatles have a last song. I'm going to click on. I hope this doesn't trigger my ad block thing. Is it AI? I don't even know if it's AI. Oh, I guess it was a demo, and then what did they do? Interesting. Oh, okay. So Paul, George, and Ringo recorded new parts. Oh, okay. So it's not AI. Wait. Oh, the separation. Okay, the separation of the vocals and piano. Interesting. I wonder if that works really well, that kind of technology. That's something I'd be interested in, because there's stuff like with production, music production as well, that would be helpful with some of those apps and stuff. Christine McVie, Jethro Tull. I do like Jethro Tull. Fozzy, Godsmack, Gojira, Joey Belladonna, Nia Strauss. Oh, here's one. That's kind of a interesting story. So Tim Ripper Owens is sick of watching singers who change their songs when they perform them live. And I'm going to read the quote, and I'm going to tell you what I think about it. I do like Tim Ripper Owens, by the way. And then he talks about the new KK's Priest, which actually I do like. I haven't heard the new one. I like the first one. Everything you hear on this record, I can sing live. I'm so sick of watching singers, and I don't care. If I'm 56, I've seen singers in their 50s that still couldn't do it. I'm so sick of watching singers. I know they can do it, but they change their songs. They lower it. They make new melodies and hit a high note for a second. And it's like, dude, sing what you wrote. Sing what you wrote. I understand it gets tougher, but I can sing Sermons of the Sinner. And these songs, the KK's Priest songs, are harder to sing than classic Priest songs, except maybe Metal Meltdown. Okay, so I have something to say about this. So I saw Judas Priest, I think it was 2003 or 4, whenever Demolition came out. And I saw them with Tim Ripper Owens. I've seen Judas Priest multiple times, by the way. And they did not play in the regular tuning. They played in D and not E, not even E flat. They played a whole step down and slower. Just the truth. I don't know whose decision it was. I don't know if Tipton was starting to have, symptoms of, unfortunately, what he's suffering now. I don't know what the deal was with that. But they did tune down. So he's kind of a hypocrite right away on the outset there. So what do I think about that? I hate it, of course. I agree with him completely. But you have to do what you have to do. Now, I think a lot of singers don't take care of themselves. They don't really try to work on their voice. It's probably worse, almost worse than guitar players, practicing. Like, you hear about these band members that play a sloppy solo, they don't practice. I'm not going to mention names. A certain San Francisco metal band comes to mind, and a certain New York classic hard rock band comes to mind too, of a certain member from that band. That I just hear about certain things. I'll just say that. So do I think that he's right? Yes, I do. But now there's got to be an allowance there somewhere. For example, Hansi Kirsch, Blind Guardian, he does not sing all the notes live. Now, could he do it? I don't know, because he really puts his voice to the limit on the record, and live he does different because he doesn't want to blow out his voice. Same with Axl Rose nowadays. Now, it doesn't mean that he doesn't do any of the high parts. Of course he does. But, Axl Rose kind of does this weird falsetto thing now, which people have compared to Mickey Mouse. But nevertheless, No, I agree with Tim Ripper Owens. But he is a hypocrite because he did it with Judas Priest. And I don't think that should be his call necessarily. Now, as a fan, I do agree with him. I hate that. At the same time, though, I think there's a middle ground. I think you can sing, do some of the high notes, like Judas Priest now, like with Rob Halford. They 2.5 step lower than the record. It's not as noticeable as a whole step. I'll just say that. Same with Metallica. Does the same thing, actually. It sounds decent, and he does a lot of the high parts. Actually, Rob Halford has done way more of the high parts in recent years than I've seen from clips and stuff. I haven't seen Priest live for a long time, but he does a lot more high parts than he has for years. So, playing these songs from Stained Class, like Invader or something, like one of the last tours, it's like, wow. So it's a little different with Priest in general, or KK's Priest, but, you watch, we've already gone over a couple of them, like Dokken, for example. It's like none of the high parts being sang. I'm going to continue with the news. So let's see. Creator documentary. I skipped ahead a little bit. Stained. I'm not going to talk about Stained on this podcast. I refuse. I have a Stained ban. Shares trailer from comic book. Oh, that's cool. Kiss. Yeah. Dokken. Some of their newer material is actually not too bad. Live, can Don Dokken sing at all? I'm sorry to say, it just doesn't appeal to me hearing how he sings now. I'm sorry, as a fan, Job for a cowboy. Now, here's the big news. And I think I'll cut it off after this piece of news because I'm going to talk about this for a while probably. This is the big news of the day because I like to talk about. Let's see let me see if there's anything else I can talk about before or after that. I'll go down to the Keith Richards one. Why not? But first, Dream Theater announces return of drummer Mike Portnoy. Now, this has been something that people have probably been. It probably is no surprise to a lot of people because it's been very dramatic. Basically, there was a lot of acrimony at first. He said a lot of comments about his former band. They were not so pleasant all the time, some of which a lot of people agree with, particularly in certain aspects of the band. I was going to say, I'm trying to be politically correct and everything. No, I'm just kidding. So Dream Theater. So he left. He did a bunch of projects. Some of them are really good. Some of them are okay. The one that I really when I think he left in 2010. The one I was really excited about was the one with John Sykes, who was former guitarist Whitesnake, Blue Murder, Thin Lizzy, everything. And that one, just something happened to that, and it went unreleased, like a lot of John Sykes stuff nowadays. I might do a separate episode about this, like, tendency of these artists to, like, just drag on the release of any new music and stuff for years, which I find unconscionable because I don't really get it. And there's several bands like that. I'll do the next episode will be about that. You know, I'll do a rant episode. I'll release it like in the next week or two before I get more guests, because I am going to get more guests. I will manifest it. Anyways, Mike Portnoy did a lot of projects. He did tons of stuff. So it's, you know, some of them are, you know, another person like that is George Lynch. You know, he just does every record that comes out, you know, every fourth record that comes out is George Lynch on it or something. I don't know. That's an exaggeration, but it's kind of funny to say. Or Mike Portnoy on it. So it was really cool. I mean, he did a lot of projects. Probably got it out of his system. You know, they're not old by any means, but they're not getting any younger and stuff. So they kind of want to go out, you know, go do more stuff. Now, I think that Mike Portnoy, or what should I say? I liked the last John Petrucci solo album. I'm trying to learn some of the stuff from that. The last Mike Portnoy album, I believe, is Black Clouds and Silver Linings. And actually, I think that was amongst some of their best material they've done, like, period. I really liked it. I know it's not the most beloved album, but I really liked it. I really liked the heaviness. I mean, there was almost like some black metal, like symphonic black metal-esque, like, parts to some of the songs, and just, like, it was really heavy, but it wasn't, like, annoyingly heavy. In some of these prog metal bands, like, they just chug and stuff, but Dream Theater, like, when they do some chugging too, but, like, it's not the same. In the same way, it's like a little bit more of an intelligent chug, I guess. I don't know. It's just more, they make it more interesting. So I really liked that album. I thought that was really good. I thought it was cool. It was a cool album. I thought, you know, the heavy stuff really worked, and the songs. I think there's only like 6 or 7 songs, if I recall. I actually bought the physical copy too. So I really liked that. So when he left, I realized, like, some of their material, I was just going to say, this is my personal taste. Do not be offended. I really didn't really have a liking for a lot of the material that occurred when he left. And especially, I'm just going to come out and say this is just my personal opinion. And if you're offended by it, that's fine. I understand. The astonishing was just some of the stuff on there. Now, I'm in a huge, like, Jim Steinman phase and stuff, and I love, like, all these sappy ballads and stuff, but, like, I don't think it worked with that album, just the way that they did it. And it, you know, if you read the plot really closely, it's just like a more extrapolated Kilroy was here. It's certainly no Scenes for a Memory or even like 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, which I think is an underrated record as well. So I think it's good that he joined, because he seemed to have, like, I'm not going to say bullshit detector, but I'm going to say, like, editorial vote, songwriting contribution, everything like that really contributed to the band as a whole. So when he left, like, I don't think I have Octavarium. I don't think I liked it. I was the only one I really didn't, like, give a chance to, though. And I've heard a lot of stuff since Black Clouds, and I just could not get into it. Just be honest. Now, there is the problem of James Labrie and his, like, alleged backing tapes and vocal difficulties and stuff. So I don't know, you know, like I said, I think a lot of singers can get better if they really want to. I'm just going to say. Like Tom Kiefer of Cinderella, for example. Like, I've heard some stories about him that were just insane. As far as, like, his voice it was completely gone at one point. And I don't know how old he was when this happened, so it might factor in too. But I've heard clips from him. I haven't heard, like, more recent clips, but, you know, for the last, you know, 5 years or something, that it was the same tuning, the same vocal inflections. And I know he's not using a tape, or not tape, you know, recording. I'm so old, I still say tape. He's not using backing tracks, I should say, because he goes, you know, he hits notes and he, like, hits it for, you know, and then he, like, talks or something. You know, there's parts you can tell he's singing the real thing. He saved his voice, and he says he works out his voice an hour and a half a day. So I don't think it's all these singers' fault. I think it's some of these singers do bear some responsibility for their voice not being where they should be. I'll just say that. I don't know what it is. I don't know the personality of a singer is a certain. I think there's archetypes with different kinds of musicians, like drummers. They're kind of crazy in some ways, kind of loud and crazy, like Animal from the Muppets, And singers have a different ego structure than a guitarist for example. So a singer might not want to sit there for 2 hours a day and do vocal warm-ups and exercises and, get all sorts of stuff, treatment and diet and exercise and drink, stop drinking. So who knows? I don't know what LaBrie's thing is like, but I think, it could get better, He could do all that stuff. Don Dokken, I don't know, or Bon Jovi, I don't know these guys, like how they can get better at singing, like Ripper Owens doesn't, I understand where he's coming from, getting back to that, but like there is, and I think there is a responsibility on the part of the musician to get their chops up to a certain point, but at the same time, I'm not an expert on vocal cords or, stuff like that, but I know these guys, some of these guys could do better. I know that for a fact. Just hearing the Tom Kiefer story and stuff and, hearing and seeing some of the singers, the classic singers get better really quickly. I mean, even Bruce Dickinson on this current tour, I was surprised by a lot of the stuff he was still singing or starting to sing. He had cancer, So he's doing really well. Rob Halford is doing pretty well too. Obviously, Glenn Hughes does well. A lot of people are doing pretty well, but some people are just doing horrible. But if you can get yourself to like the middle, a little bit better than 50% or 60%, I mean, I think you're good to go if you're like at 60%, 70%. Like Jeff Tate, he was doing bad for a while too, and he's doing a lot better too. You don't have to sing all the high parts. You don't have to sing every crazy part you've ever sang. You don't have to tune it to drop Z though. I like to say drop because a lot of musicians like to always say drop, like the older musicians. So they think every tuning is a drop tuning, which is a separate kind of tuning. Never mind. Anyway, like the boomer people, drop Z, that death metal stuff, that Cookie Monster stuff. So, anyways, because grunge did a lot of drop, where you drop the lower string, but it's not all drop. It's the tuning. Some of the tuning is the whole guitar. I just like to say drop C. So, anyways, you don't have to do that. You don't have to, always have to do that. But there's a middle ground. We have to acknowledge that. So, Dream Theater, especially, LaBrie. I think Portnoy could probably, suggest things that could be done with the voice. I mean, he's kind of I'm not going to say, I'd say him and Petrucci are like I'm not going to use the word alpha male, but they are. They are the alpha males of the band, But if they, I think they could get him to be better. I think they could have him work on his voice as much as he can. And if that happens, it'll be good to see live, because I've heard they're tuning down too, and I'm just like, oh my God, I couldn't see that. Pull me under, I'm not afraid. Fuck that. I can't see. I'm sorry. I just hate when bands do that as well. I'm with Ripper Owens completely 100%. I actually am. But sometimes sacrifices have to be made. The Genesis got back together in 2007. I bought the live album. I think it's great, even though they're tuning down for a lot of the songs, but not every song. So I don't know. Maybe they could do some of the songs lower, but some songs sound bad lower. It's just the truth. Breaking the Law sounded bad in D. Sorry, Ripper. So anyways, to continue, I'm going to get down to this Keith Richards story, but I'll read these other stories first. Phil Collin. Speaking of Phil Collin, Phil Collin doesn't think Def Leppard's story is interesting enough for a proper biopic. It's been done. Well, I think there's other reasons why he doesn't want that done too. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff that they did in the 80s, to be honest. I think it'd be interesting, but that's just me, I guess. I guess there wasn't enough drama there was a lot of drama with Def Leppard, though. Pretty Maids announced his first comeback concerts for 2024. I love Pretty Maids, their first 2 albums especially. I haven't heard a lot of their other albums, but they are classics. I highly recommend that band. I know the name of the band is weird, and they do have a little bit of glam in them, but they're not glam. Great band, and I like glam anyways, a lot of it now anyway. So Robert Plant performed Stairway to Heaven after someone bid a huge amount of money for him to sing the song. Now, speaking of voices, so he doesn't sing any of the high parts of that song in this clip. I watched the whole thing. It was okay, System of a Down drummer claims he lost hundreds of thousands of fans who couldn't handle his opinions. I'm going to say that that's really unfortunate, but of course, you're talking about System of a Down, who's already a political band, and if he has I wouldn't say he has the opposite idea of necessarily the band is about per se, but sort of in some of those directions. I think we need to try to get along. I love the story of Ted Nugent and Tom Morello because it's like Tom Morello kind of rationalizes their friendship. It's like, well, I'm kind of an anarchist libertarian, even though I'm a leftist, and then he's kind of a libertarian, and we get along on a lot of stuff, freedom of speech and blah blah blah. I think we need to go towards that instead of trying to be separated from all these things. So if he hates the establishment and System of a Down hates the establishment, they should try to get along. But of course, it's kind of he sounds like a victim in the interview a little bit, but it's just you gotta own up to that. I have to own up to my own opinions that I put out there myself. You just have to deal with it. It sucks, but you do. Do I agree with his opinions? Probably not. To a certain extent, there are certain opinions he probably has that I do agree with. The drummer of System of a Down, certain ones I don't. That's just the way it is. Triumph, I haven't even heard much Triumph. Sammy Hagar, yeah. Vinny Appice or Vinny Appice or whatever people call him. I've heard it pronounced both ways. Black Sabbath and Dio Classics. He is a great drummer. I like him. Keith Richards. This is my last story of the day because I'm not going to read the rest of these stories. Unless there's something, I'm gonna go down a little bit actually and see if there's anything else I can read about. What? That's interesting. Nope, I don't mention that band like I said before. I don't talk about Stained on this podcast other than saying the name Stained. Oh, interesting. Oh, I gotta get to that. Okay, I have to read that story. So first, I'm gonna read this story and then just the title, and I'm gonna save any talk of King Diamond for that episode I was talking about earlier. Keith Richards, where is it? Keith Richards wouldn't rule out the Rolling Stones hologram show. Well, the only thing about the Keith Richards hologram or the Rolling Stones hologram show is that he'll still be alive on stage with the holograms because he's Keith Richards. So that's all I got to say about that one. Metallica, yeah. Smashing Pumpkins, more System of a Down. Heart, oh, that's cool. Reunite. Stained, puke. Sorry, this just came out. I'm sorry. I don't like Stained. I just don't. I'll never interview them because they will hate me right away. King Diamond, I'm not going to read that because I'm saving my opinions about King Diamond for the next episode. Kitty, Offspring, yeah. I'm not even, no, that's another band I'm not going to talk about. Papa Roach. Actually, no, that's kind of cool. Papa Roach donates $150,000 to American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. That's actually pretty cool. 30th anniversary Evergrey. I didn't know they were that old. I like Evergrey. I should get more into them. The Who. Is my mouse working? Uli John Roth says there are early Scorpion songs that Rudolf Schenker did not play on. Huh. What does he mean by that? Let's see. I guess there are songs that were on Virgin Killer and Taken by Force that just have Uli. Well, I know some of the songs that do not have him on there because you could just kind of tell from the way the riffs are played. Like, for example, Polar Nights does not sound like it has Rudolf Schenker on it. Sails of Sharon perhaps does not. Let's see. I'm looking through this. Yeah. Oh, I believe that. The bass too. Wow. That's interesting. So I believe that. And that's fine. Oh, yeah, Polar Nights, of course. Of course. He says Polar Nights. Yellow Raven. He says it's a lot quicker to do it himself. Of course. Of course. Now, you can kind of tell, like, for example, Catcher Train. I'm a big Uli John Ross Scorpions fan. Sorry about the selfishly done little rant or reading this. I just obsess. So I worship at his very name, Uli John Roth. So let's see. So Yellow Raven, you can kind of tell. Polar Nights, Catcher Train, probably not. Probably is both guitarists. Pictured Life, probably both too. So yeah, it makes sense. It doesn't matter though. That happens a lot of albums. At least it's a member of the band recording all the damn guitars. Because sometimes you'll hear nowadays that people didn't even play the part that some studio guy did or something, and that's really sad. I was hearing. I read an interview with Greg Leone, who is in all sorts of bands like Dokken, Motley Crue for a short time, and he claims that Nikki Sixx did not play the bass on Theater of Pain. Now, there's a rumor about him not playing bass on some of these albums. Tom Werman, the producer of some of those albums, said he did. Who knows what's true? Who knows what's not? It's how could you be a songwriter and not be able to play an instrument unless you're just like hum the riffs? You could be a lyric writer, like Peter Sinfield of King Crimson, but a songwriter? I don't think so. So something doesn't make sense about it. There needs to be some extrapolation on that. But it's pretty sad to think like the first two Warrant. I'm not really a big fan of Warrant, but the first two Warrant albums weren't those guitarists on leads. The two guitarists you see in the videos. Whitesnake is not it is John Sykes. Now that's been disputed too, actually, which I think is a load of crap. One of the producers that came out and said he did not play the rhythms on the Whitesnake album. I don't buy that. Even though they were his riffs, he admits it's his riffs, but he says someone else played the guitars. Now, who they say played the guitars on the Whitesnake album is Dan Huff of Giant, which he does play on some Whitesnake songs. He plays on the radio. It's called like the radio mix of Here I Go Again. And he has a clearly different rhythm style and clearly different lead style. Obviously, John Sykes is acknowledged to play all the leads on the Whitesnake album, but the riffs, I guess, supposedly didn't. I don't think Bob Rock. Someone like Bob Rock would come out and say he didn't play it because he actually engineered the guitars for that album. So there was only one person saying it was on some obscure forum, but there was a rumor for a while that John Sykes did not play the guitars on 1987, also known as Whitesnake, self-titled. I don't buy it because every guitar track that I've heard John Sykes played on sounds similar tone-wise to, and I think this is what might have happened. He confused some of the sessions that they did after he left. Obviously, he didn't play on Here I Go Again's lead. That was Adrian Vandenberg. And I also think that what happened is maybe there was a time where Dan Huff came in and played some rhythms and they mixed it in with Sykes' riffs or so. I don't know. Maybe he's buried in the mix. There was also a rumor. This is the opposite rumor. I think this guy is deceased now. Michael James Jackson, who produced Creatures of the Night, that somewhere on Creatures of the Night, Ace Frehley plays on. I don't believe it. There's just no evidence of that. So I don't know if these guys' memories aren't good or there's some studio notes somewhere. I don't believe it, though. But John Sykes played, by most accounts, I'll just say David Coverdale's account. David Coverdale will be the first to say, because he's always like, he has a lot of venom towards John Sykes. He's always said he played on it, played on the whole thing, except for that solo. So I don't believe it. The rumor, I shouldn't even be spreading this rumor. It was just on some obscure forum. I think it was Mike Stone or someone was on that forum, supposedly. I don't buy it. Now, I'm just going off on a rant now. And I don't believe that Ace Frehley played on Creatures of the Night because there's no evidence of that either. So there's no evidence for either one. Now, there is some, I think the Greg Leone thing for Nikki Sixx, there is some evidence of that because there's more than one person. I think it was actually Bob Rock that came out and said, was it Bob Rock that said that Nikki Sixx may not have played on some of those early records or something? So it's getting so weird. So there are ghost players on a lot of albums. There are outside songwriters. And that's an 80s, 70s, like late 70s, 80s kind of tradition that I really don't like it. I never did. I never liked that. I never liked hearing like the guy on the album cover doesn't even play on the record. I hate that shit. It's so poserish. It's just so, not even going to say, but it's so stupid. So I was going to use an antiquated 80s term for lame, but you probably know what this is getting this weird. Thinking about the 80s, I start talking like I'm in the 80s sometimes, so I don't want to say it. I'm not for censorship. I'm not self-censoring. I just don't want to say it. But anyways, yeah, I don't like this whole trend of these. Who the hell knows what happened back then? People were on so many drugs. But yeah, John Sykes plays on Whitesnake. And I mean, he's already acknowledged to play the leads and some of the other stuff. I believe he played all the guitars. There's no real evidence that he didn't, but there was some like single versions that they did that had Dan Huff do the guitars, and you can tell, and you know which ones they are. The radio version of Here I Go Again, the re-recording of God, what song is that? Standing in the Shadows, they did a re-recording of that around that time. That was definitely Dan Huff, or maybe even Vivian Campbell on some of that. So there was a time where it was disputed who played on that, but it wasn't on the 87 album proper. I know that for a fact. So I don't know why I'm talking about this so much. I should probably edit it out. I don't know. Whatever. It's bullshit. But I hate it. I hate when people talk about it. I hate when people dispute it. I just hate hearing about it because it just pisses me off. It really does. I want to read the liner notes of an album if I happen to buy a physical copy, which happens 9 times out of 10 nowadays with me. I mean, I'm getting a pile of stuff that I have to clean up and put away now. It's becoming a little messy with all the physical copies that I buy of stuff. I want to know when I'm reading the liner notes or whatever that the person who's listed as the guitarist is the guitarist on the album. I want to know that. Oh, yeah, by the way, David Coverdale, every interview I've read about him and Whitesnake, he's said that Sykes played on the album. Never disputed it. He'd be the first one to come out. Like I said, his personality, he would say, yeah, he says who played on it. Obviously Steve Vai played on the follow-up, and Adrian Vandenberg did the demos, That was actually more, that's what they sounded like. That's what it sounded like. That's what this producer was saying. Maybe you confused those two sessions. I don't know. It's weird. But anyways, yeah, I hate that. I hate it when there are ghost players or there's outside songwriters like with Aerosmith in the 80s. Like, I mean, it's like musical Viagra. That's what I called it once. It's like you can't write the same type of songs, but you want to get like the huge audience and sell records. The only person that I mean, there are a couple of exceptions, like Meatloaf, like never wrote any of his own songs anyways. Elvis, But when you're talking about like a band that had like classic albums, Motley Crue included, who wrote every note on their first 2 albums, their first 5 albums or whatever. And then they're like, oh, they're getting older, they're middle-aged, they can't, they have their mansions and their jets and all that stuff. Oh, yeah, well, we'll get some outside songwriters. They're hip. We're going to write a hit for this new generation. It'll be a little edgy, too. Like, I'll have some industrial sounds in it. And, it's like, give me a fucking break. Who are you fooling, Now, if a band naturally evolves to that, that's fine. But when you're trying too hard. Like Dream Theater, for example. They weren't putting in black metal parts on Pull Me Under, but I'd rather hear a black metal-esque part than some type of new metal part. But that said, Train of Thought wasn't that terrible. It had a little parts here and there. The way that they intertangle some of that stuff actually works with them, but a lot of bands can't get away with it. Come on, like Motley Crue Generation Swine or Dawkins, grunge albums or whoever. I'll give an exception to Kiss because I really do like Carnival of Souls because they are able to like copy sounds so well. They did disco, they did all sorts of stuff. They get a pass because they do it so well in this way that I like. But anyways, wow, it's almost an hour long. Okay, we're gonna get to the interview, and I will call it from here. This is Mattowarrior's Metal Madness. It's Mattowarrior here. I'm speaking with Michael from the band Where the Children Play. Is that right?
That is correct, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I have a lot of questions. I listened to a bunch of your stuff, and I was very impressed just with the wide depth of influences that you have. And just, wow, it's just like a lot of music. I can't even get myself to do an album in 5. It took me 5 years to do one album. So, I mean, it's impressive. So you guys have like three albums, as far as I know, within 2 years, right?
Yeah, we had 2 last year and 1 this year.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, that's quite prolific. So the first thing I wanted to ask is, where does the name come from? It's an interesting name. Kind of reminds me of that Metal Church song, Watch the Children Pray, for some reason. I don't know. It's kind of, I'm super old school, so.
So, growing up, my favorite movie was Children of the Corn. And it kind of brought up this idea of like, what if I just thinking about children sacrificing people in a graveyard or wherever. And it kind of just came up to Where the Children Play.
Yeah, actually, I like that movie too. It's a underrated Stephen King adaptation, I'll say. Like
one of the best.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool. Linda Hamilton in an early role too. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. When I was growing up, a lot of people, made they call themselves Damien just as a joke and stuff. I remember some kids.
Right.
It was kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that movie, and also a band I found when I was younger called Circle of Dead Children. They're a death grind band out of Pennsylvania. Just that, and then the love for that movie, Children of the Corn, the original one, not 2, 3, and the rest of them. I love the original, the first.
Yeah, one. I've never seen any of the sequels. I've only seen the first one, and
yeah, and that was kind of what shaped my mindset of let's just make that band name something that, well, one, it raises questions like, what in the world are you naming the band that for? Well, there's why. And 2, it's just, it's something that was engraved in my brain and I decided to use it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that's kind of, I think more people don't realize that people are influenced by films as well, or books, in music. It often happens to me too. I mean, there's a lot of people, they'll say that this influenced their thing, I heard this famous producer said he's influenced by Alfred Hitchcock, but not for the music, just for how the music, gets made. So it's interesting. So you do seem to have a wide variety of influences, a lot of, I hear some black metal, but I hear a lot of death metal too. What inspired the project? Like what was the initiative to do this?
So little backstory. When I was 16 years old, how we used to draw on paper in class when the teacher was teaching, and, we were not listening at all. We're off in our own little land of what I want to do when I grow up,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was just drawing band logos for the band Where the Children Play. That's how long this thing has been just boiling in my mind. And it was kind of just like an imagination thing. And I had been in bands throughout high school and a little bit of my young adulthood, but, we had a lot of creative differences, and I just didn't really like arguing my vision against another person's. Not saying the other person's vision was wrong, but you walk in with how you perceive how your music should sound, and then someone else completely wants to go the other direction.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so I decided, when I was this last year, yeah, so I was 26. I was like, well, let's make this real and let's see what happens. I had no idea. Fast forward now that I would have my own little area in the death metal community and the death metal scene that we're actually making a mark. I had no clue we would be where we are in a year. And I'm extremely proud. That means that something I'm doing is right.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. So I guess I think it was the first album. It was called Church of Satan. Am
yeah.
I right? Yeah. So I mean, what significance does that have as far as I don't know if you wanted to get into this subject or not, but like I mean, what significance does that name and like that concept have to you as far as that album goes?
So that was our debut album. So that album was just supposed to be raw, black, and in your face, saying that this is who we are. We're here on the scene. We're going to do what we do best. And it was also kind of our freshman act just to see how it would sound. The album name came from really just my interest in looking into Anton LaVey. I don't
Oh
know if
yeah.
you know who Anton LaVey was.
Oh, I've
Bit of
read
a
many books. I have a newer book about him. It's like a photo book that they did with
yeah.
Jane Mansfield. So no, I'm yeah,
Mm.
I'm quite familiar actually. So
So
um,
I had just there wasn't really I wasn't as mature in my songwriting as I am now with that record. It was really just let's get it out there and let's put our name on the scene. We weren't looking to go Metallica famous or AC/DC famous with that first record. We weren't. We were just trying to make our mark starting, if that makes sense.
oh, absolutely.
Um, so it was extremely. I don't know how many tracks you listened to off of it, but it was extremely fast. Um, really raw production. But I got some really good feedback off of it. A lot of people liked the guitars. They loved the vocals. I'm the vocalist, by the way, so they really liked the vocals. They really liked the guitar track. They loved the synth in the background. I liked it, but it really wasn't, who, not who. It really wasn't what I wanted to portray as music. I really didn't know where we were going. We just knew that we were going to do some type of death metal or black metal.
Yeah, I noticed some of the newer songs almost have like a I don't know if this will offend you, but like almost like a more I would dare say pagan vibe. I don't know. It's like more I don't know. It's more in that direction. But then there's songs like was it Horror Lore of the Night Curse? It almost has like an old
Yeah.
school death metal vibe, which was really cool too. So
Yeah, that was so Horror Lord of the Night Curse was that was that was actually written during a dark time. That was off the Necronomicon EP. That was written a month after my dad lost his own life by his own hand.
oh my god.
Um, yeah, and I, the only way I knew to like portray my emotions was through music, and that EP got. This is a fun fact. That EP got the most hate out of all of my discography. And
That is the most hate?
yeah, oh yeah, dude. The
Oh.
production was terrible.
Oh.
Lyricism was off. Now they love Horror Lord of the Night Curse. That has almost 1,000 views on YouTube. But everything else off of it, which was but I wrote it from a place of anger anyway. So I had no intention of people liking it or disliking it. I really didn't care. I just wanted to get my emotions out. And I had the option of just, not releasing it, but I was going through a dark time and I was like, I had to put how I felt out there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to do that. And I've had that type of situation before too. So, absolutely. I mean, I think that song gave me like an old school vibe, like an old school death metal vibe. I don't know if that's what you were going for, but I thought that was really cool and great guitar playing
I was
too.
going I was going for cheesy Black Dahlia Murder and Cannibal Corpse obituary style stuff.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, so yeah, that one was how can we kind of I guess you'd say try and make a hit, which I guess it did kind of make a hit on YouTube, and it also did on Spotify as well. But nowhere near as much as our biggest song, "Blood Overture," or the new single that came out, "Part Six," Amber Wood.
That's really good. I
That
really like that one. It was my favorite, probably, actually. The one you just
so
mentioned.
that yeah, that's where we are now. We have transversed from Black and Death to Atmospheric Death. When you were talking about how it sounds a little more pagan, we figured out our sound, and that's when I felt really really comfortable. Writing from here on out is we know where we're going to fit in the death metal scene. We're going to be atmospheric. We're still going to be heavy, but we're not going to be doing it for the raw black element. We're going to be doing it for the atmospheric, the symphonic, a little bit of melody, kind of reminiscent of some insomnia, almost.
Yeah, I thought I read on Metal Archives they tried to label your sound, and I think they're probably basing it on the really early stuff. They said symphonic black metal meets metalcore. I really don't. There's probably a couple
I
tracks I
saw
hear
the
that, but
symphonic black, not really metalcore. Yeah,
yeah,
I saw that too. Which note, I did not put any of that on there.
yeah,
Um, um, yeah, I saw the symphonic black metal, and I'm like, okay, I can see that with the earlier stuff. Like Church of Satan was straight up symphonic black. Um, but metalcore, I was like, I don't really hear any of Mice and Men or anything like that. I don't think I have any clean singing whatsoever.
I don't think you're
So
listening to Attack at all. I don't hear any of that.
yeah,
That's like
no, we're not gonna be no, dude. The day we have a music video of us jogging in place to our song is the day hell freezes over.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
we,
I just thought it was weird because I mean, in Metal Archives, they have
it's like
sometimes I have
Wikipedia,
a
man.
mix. I
It's
have a
like
mixed
Wikipedia.
reception
Anyone
of
can
them.
go in and yeah, well, they can go in and they can edit. And I really don't base our popularity off of Metal Archives. I mean, it's great to be on there. It's awesome.
Oh yeah,
But the guys who do follow us, the fans who do listen to us, and who have been through us through thick and thin, they know who we are, and that's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about what the internet labels us. I could care less. I mean, you can call us Christian country pop for all I care. Like
yeah.
we know who we are.
Oh yeah. No, I just thought I'd bring that up because I saw that and I didn't really agree with that label.
Yeah, yeah,
So
no, me either. Like, like, especially now, we're not even really playing in a symphonic black metal tuning. We're in D sharp tuning, so we're not really doing anything in that realm. So, but yeah, the earlier stuff I can definitely see, especially the first record. I can see symphonic black metal.
yeah. So yeah, you mentioned say Part Six, Amberwood. Right? Is that the name of the song? Amberwood.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's right. Um, that's a really cool song. What's the elements that made up that song? What's the story behind it? Like the concept? Because I was reading the lyrics too. I think there was a lyric video. So
Yeah. And there's actually a couple of reactions on YouTube as well. I think Makai reacted to it, and Ben Sebastian Online reacted to it. Both got over 1,000 views, so that helps me out a lot. And I told them I appreciated that. Um, so it's off our fourth full length that we're working on. It's called Northward. As you can tell, it was part six. So there's 11 parts to the story. Another thing that we've changed is we're only going to be doing concept albums, so like storyline albums,
yeah,
something that tells stories, because I feel like that's a good hook. It's something that keeps the listener interested in what's going to happen next. Part six is in the middle of the story. So the story is about a guy who is lost in winter solitude, and by the end of it, spoiler, he finds out the only way to get out is to die.
damn.
So yeah, man, it's pretty sad. But I feel like we all kind of have those feelings where we're all like, I have two options in this situation. I can either succumb to this problem or I can make a solution. And in this story, he just happens to find out the solution is, succumbing to it. But it's a lot of imagery, a lot of romanticism, a lot of allusions to nature and death and beauty and night and winter. So I think it's going to be a really good album. They're really hearing our new sound. We have a new producer now. We're locked in on who's doing what in the band. There's only three of us, so everyone knows their roles, and we are I guess you could say, graduated to our senior act. So I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Yeah. So who does what in the band? You said you were the vocalist, and then
Yes.
like how does that all work?
So I do vocals. So the two other members are Louie and Luminal, and they share roles in instruments and programming. So it's not like he does guitars and he does bass. It's just who does what for the song. They share equal. So we're they're both 50% on both. They were both freelancers, but I met them on Fiverr. But we've worked together for two albums, and I told them both like, look, I absolutely love what y'all do. Horror Lord, the Night Curse was not done with them. That was with a different a different instrumentalist. That was his name was Miguel. He was from the band Hatred. I love him to death, but it just wasn't the sound we were looking for.
Yeah.
Nothing personal. It just that's just the way it goes. You have to be able to hold on to what you're good at and let go of some stuff that you realize wasn't that good.
Yeah. So do
So,
you write them? I mean, are you playing any of the instruments or just vocals?
oh, dude, I have not one instrumental bone in my body, man.
Uh,
I was graced with the talent of vocals. That's it. So, and well, which I do the album covers as well. I do the design for the album covers.
yeah,
I,
those are
I
awesome.
manage. Oh, thank you. I manage the social media. I manage with Metal Nations merch. I manage that with them. So we do merch. We are all digital as of right now. There's no physical copies, which I know we could put physical copies of CDs out there and we probably make a little bit more money or whatever. But I'm not really worried about the money at this point. It's just getting music out there. And if
Oh
we
yeah,
ever get signed to a record label, then physical copies would be great. But the world's digital anyway. So
it'd be
music
great
is
to have
all on
some
a digital
vinyl.
platform.
I could see
Oh
that
yeah,
being pretty
well,
cool.
we've looked at that, and this fourth full length, if it comes to where we make the money to make it a vinyl, then sure, we'll push it out.
Yeah, it's a
But
lot of money.
I've, I have to date not heard one complaint about it only being digital. So,
Yeah. So I mean, how do you guys develop such a work ethic? You have three full lengths and EPs and all sorts of singles and stuff. I mean, what is giving you this impetus like to work so hard at it?
well, I'm prior military, so my mindset is always, try and outdo yourself from one record to the next. And plus, I'm a metal music fan myself, and I always try and listen to what's out there, pull inspiration, and also like I guess the biggest part to it is I enjoy what I'm doing because it's my own music. I
Oh yeah.
enjoy it. I love it. It's fun. I even love the negative criticism because I use it to make me better. And you know, if I didn't love it, I wouldn't put so much heart into it.
Yeah, no,
So
I definitely hear you there. That's kind of my same thing with my music. I used to like really not like criticism. I got all defensive back in the day, but then I realized, well, I'm gonna try to improve it. So,
well,
depends on the criticism, of course.
dude, look, if you have got about 15 people tell you the same thing, oh, well, the production here is this, you know, go back, take a look. And if you hear and see, well, maybe they have a point, and a lot of it is a lot of people take the criticism as an attack, and I guess sometimes it could be, but I don't take it as an attack. And if I were to have someone attack me, I would simply respond, "You don't have to listen to us. It's not going to hurt my feelings."
Right. So how do the songs develop? Like what do you have like kind of guide some of the music then too? Because it sounds like the concept is definitely yours to a major extent. Like, do you suggest like what kind of song like riffs are being played, or how do the songs come together? In other
Yes.
words.
So here's the way it works. I will talk with both of them. I will give them the references of which I'd like. I'll give them the key and BPM, and then from there, instrumental is all on them. And then when they send me the finished product, I'll sit and listen to it on repeat for about a day or two until I can write lyrics to it. And then I'll probably go over my lyrics at least 20 times and erase and rewrite and erase and rewrite and delete, until I feel that what I've written is something that I would want out there. and then we record, and then I send to my producer. He's out of Austria, amazing guy. I met him about 2 months ago. He has a band as well called Vault. It's oh God, if he's listening, please don't attack me. I think it's slamming brutal death metal. I think this is band, but I'm not 100% sure.
Hmm.
I know it's on the extreme side, um, but he's real talented as a producer, and he is he's that missing part that we've been needing. So I welcomed him to the team about 3 weeks ago, and we went straight to work. We just released our second single off the album. I released it last Sunday, I believe it was. Yeah, part 8, Never Gaze.
Hmm.
So things are looking up right now.
Yeah, it's great to have a good producer. I know that's been a problem. I hate doing it all myself, so I have to farm it out, and I'm just like, sometimes I don't have the money to do it, and then I have to do it myself, and then I have to like
Right.
do 1,000 different mixes, and I just get down on myself, and then I just like, fuck it, I'll just release it. That's usually
Right.
what happens. But so what got you into metal in the first place? Like, what did you like it growing up, or what's the situation with that?
So growing up, I was a big fan of Iron Maiden, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, you name it, I was into it. The only band I was not real fond of back then was Kiss and Twisted Sister. Um, and then growing up, it kind of evolved. I remember I was in FYE. I'm pretty sure the kids were too young to know what FYE was, but it was a CD shop back in the early 2000s, and I came across a Cannibal Corpse record, and I had no clue who Cannibal Corpse was, but I loved the album art. So it was the album Kill. So I bought that album, and I bought the Black Diamond Murder Nocturnal album. And back when we used to have the CD players you could walk around with. This is before MP3 players and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, I would put that in, listen to it, and I fell in love with it. I had no clue what they were saying, but I was like, I want to learn how to do this. So yeah, from the time I was like 6 to present day, I've been into heavier music.
That's awesome. So you said you were 6?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I got into metal when I was 10, so I guess it's pretty young to be into it. But
Oh yeah.
so how is the region for the music scene, like the region you live and the metal scene?
Dude, I live in the Bible Belt, bro.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, that's why I asked.
now, me myself, I do also go to church myself. I myself am a Christian, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, but I don't see that as a restriction. There's nowhere in the Bible that says you can't produce any type of music that you want. It's just make sure that you don't have ill intention in your heart, which basically means I'm not going to go and do what my music says.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure. Yeah. What's his name? Dickie Allen from Infinite Annihilator has a child, and I guarantee you he's not going to do anything he says in his vocals. Because if you've listened to Infinite Annihilator, that's next level. But I'm a huge fan of the band too. I absolutely, but because I take it for music and I don't take it so serious like some people do. They take lyrics so seriously and so in depth, and they get so flustered by it. And I'm like, dude, it's music.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I
mean,
mean,
sorry.
and you're like, who was it? Marilyn Manson. I mean, come on. Like, if you really want to complain about, lyrics and metal, complain about it in other genres. I mean, rap, literally rap, only talks about drugs, killing people, but that's okay. But the moment you put an electric guitar behind it, it's automatically devil worship. So,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I mean, what was I going to say? Oh, Tom Araya. He's, some of those early Slayer lyrics are pretty wild, but he's a practicing Catholic, so I mean, South of Heaven is kind of, if you think about it, like if you look back on some of the lyrics like South of Heaven, and then just kind of think from that point of view, it's like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Well, you look at Behemoth Nurgle. He's extremely known for quoting the Bible with his lyrics. And Nurgle is, I think he said he's either atheist or satanic, one of the two. But regardless, I mean, you can put whatever you want to in your music, and your fan base, those who love it, will know it's just music. It's art, and it's meant to impact you in a way either of you love it or you hate it. It's
Oh
not
yeah.
meant to, hear the lyrics, go onward and do what I said. I
Right.
I don't think there's one artist that has done that.
No, not really. I mean, except for what was Gigi Allen did.
Well, fair,
Yeah, that song
fair.
commit suicide or whatever.
Yeah, but
It's-
but true metalheads understand that music is music, and and we're like when you look at like DSBM, suicidal black metal, it's not about the listener. No, it's not about the artist being suicidal. It's the lyrical content, and the music. It's supposed to have a calming effect on you, and
oh
for
yeah,
some
for
people it
sure.
does. And I fell in love with atmospheric black metal when I was young, just because it was so calming and ethereal. There are some of those elements in our stuff too, because I absolutely love atmospheric black metal. I'm one of those guys who can sit there and listen to a 10-minute song.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
So, do you guys are you going to ever play live, or do you have any kind of plans for that, or any concept for that? Do you think, or
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. We have discussed playing live. I don't think it's going to happen, at least right now. Maybe in the near future. I have no clue what the future has for us. But as of right now, that has been thrown off the table.
oh, okay. Do you have like plans for like if you did play live, would it be like conceptual, or would it have like a theme as far as the live show, or it would just be like just dress in normal wear?
I think it would just be dressing normal wear, man. We're not Slipknot or anything like that.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I've watched Belphegor. I've watched Sargeist live. I love the uniformity and the corpse paint. I love it. But I've also read how awful it is under stage lights to wear. So
Oh my
I
God,
think
yeah.
I would just, yeah. I think I would just rock a tank top and some shorts and some shoes and have a water bottle. So
Yeah, I don't think I could ever do it because I was like too many skin problems. I'd probably break
oh
out
yeah,
all the
dude.
time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Dried out skin, and then you're sweating under it too, and then you have to take it all off, and you know, yeah, it's just a hassle that could be avoided.
So if you were to tour, what three other bands, at least one of them has to be a classic band, like not classic rock, but if you had to pick three bands to tour with, who would they be?
Ooh. Okay. So that's a good question. Okay, classic band. I'll go Bathory. Bathory would be my classic band. I'll go with.
Oh man.
I love Corthon. I absolutely love Corthon. I love his lyrical content. I love how philosophical he was, and he was also just a musical genius.
Oh,
So
by far, yeah, definitely.
uh, a Bathory for sure. A little more modern. I think I'd go Whitechapel.
Hmm.
Um, I love Phil Boseman's lyrics, man, and his vocals. Um, he's one of my inspirations for how I scream now for my lows. I absolutely love how guttural he can get, and you would see Phil and not think that noise would come out of his mouth.
Right.
Um, yeah, and plus their new album Kid was probably one of my favorite records. Just how they mixed cleans with deathcore was amazing to me. Um, and third, I think I would go Sargeist. They're my favorite black metal band still to date. It's kind of a tie between them and Dark Throne, but I'd have to give it to Sargeist.
I'll have to check some of that out. What's the name?
Sargeist, Sargeist. They're from Finland.
Oh, I've never heard them.
I'm trying to check out more black. Well, I was kind of stuck in the '90s for black metal for a long time, so I'm kind of like
Yeah.
kind of
So
trying
like
to
Mayhem,
explore.
Marduk. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but I'm trying to broaden my horizons. But yeah, Black Bathory, I mean, I think he got offered a tour in '85 with like Destruction and Sodom or something, and he didn't
Yeah.
take up the offer or something. I read that somewhere. So he rarely played live. I think he played a couple of parties or something back in '84, and then they stopped playing. So
Yeah. I think he played maybe one show that was semi large, I guess, but he was never really into the whole, um, big crowd scene. He just wanted to make music.
yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, no, but he and the mystique. Of course, we don't have that. We don't have that anymore because of the internet. But the mystique that they had,
Oh yeah.
that he had, was really
Well,
admirable and cool.
oh yeah, because you got to think. You said black metal in the '90s, Mayhem. I think they're the only band to have their dead band member as album cover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Oh God, what was the album? Was it like Kingdom of the Black Hearts, something like that, or Dark
Dawn of the
Hearts,
Black
something like
Hearts.
that?
Yeah, Dawn. It's a
Yeah,
live bootleg. Yeah, from Chile, I think.
yeah, yeah. I watched the documentary on Mayhem, and um, they said that his note said, "Sorry about the mess, bro." I couldn't
I
help
have
but laugh. I was like,
I have some theories about that whole thing. I don't know. I don't know if Euronymous did something with that, or if he may. I mean, obviously he might have pushed him over the edge, but it seems weird, some of the stuff with that. I mean, I know he had a weird sense of humor too, so who knows if I don't know.
well, I think he was just. I think he was. I think he was disturbed, but I think. I mean, well, for one, "Freezing Moon" will always be one of my favorite songs. I love "Freezing."
Oh
It's
yeah.
a great song. That's off a great album. But yeah, when I watched that documentary about the days leading up to the end of his life and stuff, and they were like, "Do you think that was dedication to his music?" I'm like, I don't know about music dedication, but something. It's something.
Yeah, it was so weird. I mean, I don't know. Euronymous was kind of a I don't know. I don't. He was kind of a shock merchant. He's kind of trying to shock people, and then Varg
Yeah,
is
he
his
was
own
definitely
thing.
shock factor. Yeah, definitely a shock factor artist. Which is nothing wrong with that. There's some artists that are still like that. I mentioned them earlier, Marilyn Manson, Infinite Annihilator is a shock band. Their goal is just to make stuff so disgusting that you just say, "Oh my god!"
I think we're missing
But
that actually a little bit in our modern culture. I think we need more people pushing the limit. But I always say that over and over again too
I will
much. So.
definitely. I'll try and make a song that's extremely shock value then and see how it works.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great. Um,
Oh man.
so you talked about films earlier. What would you say? And this is kind of putting you on the spot, I guess. What did you say your 5 favorite films of all time would be?
Oh man, you called me out here, bro. Yeah, oh, gosh, you're about to hear like the weirdest side of me. Okay, number one is Twilight. Twilight's my favorite film of all time. I absolutely love Twilight. Um, Two would be Polar Express. As you can tell, I'm big into the earlier days of movies of my life. Anyway, I'm only 27. Um, Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings. I'm a big Lord of the Rings guy. Um, uh, I would say Chronicles of Narnia, but I only liked one movie off of the trilogy. I only like the first one. Um, I don't know if you've ever seen Armageddon,
Yeah,
but
I've seen that.
Armageddon was a really good movie. That's four. And then I guess a fifth one would probably uh, hard. I guess you would say The Conjuring.
The what?
Yeah, The Conjuring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the original Conjuring was good. The Conjuring Two was good. The Nun was good. Wasn't a big fan of Annabelle, but
Yeah, I
the
like that. I
original
like the first one.
Conjuring. Yeah, so yeah, my movies are all over the place. I'm real big into the nostalgia. So
Oh,
yeah, you put
definitely.
me on the spot there, man.
Yeah, I just like that question. I mean, I think a lot of people cross over to if they're musicians. They're usually kind of a film fan. I've not talked to anybody yet that's not. So
Mm. Yeah,
pretty
man.
much.
Polar Express is something we watch every year in my house for Christmas. Twilight's, like I said, probably my favorite film of all time, just because that was, it came out during a interesting time in my life. Narnia again came out the same, like around the same time. Armageddon was just an emotional roller coaster of a movie, and Conjuring was the only movie to date that has actually scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, it is. It was pretty effective. So I like that.
Mm.
I don't think I've seen more than maybe the first 2 or 3 of those movies. I can't remember, but I liked it though.
Oh yeah.
Also, like American Horror Story too. It kind of reminds me of some of those seasons, at least the early ones. But
I cannot sit down long enough to watch series, man. I think the last series I watched was Wednesday.
oh wow, yeah, I'm pretty busy right now, so I can't really do it anymore. But I was able to for a while. So,
Mm.
but yeah. So what are the plans? Like you said, you're doing a new album, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And when is that going to be done? Or when do you
We're
think it'll be
looking
done?
hopefully, we're looking at either early December or early January. So it's in the works right now. Like I said, we have 2 singles out: Part 6, Emberwood, which you listened to, and then I released Part 8, Never Gaze, this past Sunday. So now it's just, there's not going to be any more singles out. It's just going to be when the full length is out. So hopefully December, but more than likely January.
Yeah, it's quite. I mean, that's quite prolific. I'll say. It's just like I don't think there's anybody. There's only like one band I could think of. It was actually a black metal band. I can't remember, but they had like 100 releases or some shit. I don't remember. Going
Yeah,
back to
see
like the
now,
90s.
dude, so there is a band, I don't know if you ever heard of them, Satanic War Master.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah.
I am a huge fan of Satanic War Master. They're also kind of reminiscent of Sargeist. So if you listen to Satanic War Master and you like them, you'll like Sargeist. It's kind of the same. They use the same chord progressions, the same speed. The vocals are a little bit more goblin-esque, but it's really good. They pump
Yeah.
out albums like that too. So
Yeah. I've been trying to update my my stuff. I've just got into Watain, so I mean, I
ooh,
never
you
really.
have a long way to go, my guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I just like, there's a lot of stuff I haven't heard yet, so I'm actually getting into like the new traditional bands too, some of them. So, but power metal, the newer, I'm a big power metal guy, but I really
Ah,
don't like a lot of the newer power metal stuff because it's like production just doesn't do it for me. But
I've always called power metal hair metal 2.0. That's what I've always called power metal. It's hair metal with faster guitaring, in my opinion.
well, yeah,
I like
I
some
mean,
power metal. I
yeah,
like some power metal. I mean,
it depends on the stuff, but I would almost rather listen to like some traditional stuff now, like some newer traditional bands, which they play heavier than the original bands anyway, so I might as well call it power metal, but it's not really some of these new wave of traditional heavy metal. It just has more individuality to it
oh
than some of the
yeah,
new power metal.
oh yeah, man. Like with new metal, I've heard like bands like Tool and Deftones getting referenced a lot in new bands, in new metal bands, and new songs I've heard, especially like the rock community, because rock's really either you're going the pop techno riff or you're going heavy balls to the wall. So there's no real like hard rock anymore. There's not really much more like 3 Days Grace, Breaking Benjamin, just hard rock. It's really either we're soft poppy or we're heavy. So you know, I but I love to see the evolution of music. It's really cool to see metal coming back too, because metal
Oh
had a
yeah.
stint where it wasn't really doing much. I think that was like the late 2010s, the early 2020s. Metal was kind of a stalemate. I think COVID had a thing to do with that. Um, but yeah, I'm glad to see it making a comeback, and all these bands are exploring, like lower tunings and lower tunings and faster drumming, and breakdowns have come back. So,
Interesting.
which were yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty old school, so I don't know. I mean, I I think of when the metal was dead was the 90s, but I'm a little old. So, but yeah, like
The 90s.
95. Yeah, the 90s
Well,
were the worst. I mean, some of the shit was terrible with what was going on, but I always talk about that. I'm obsessed with that for some reason. But
that's fair.
1995 was the worst year of metal, pretty much. Probably worse
Which
than
I'm,
any later years.
which I'm still an Alice in Chains fan and still a Stone Temple Pilots fan. So something good did come out of the 90s.
Oh yeah, there's some good stuff, and especially in Europe, all the black metal bands and a lot of the other bands came out. But like in the United States, the mainstream was if you said you liked metal, you were stereotyped as like I don't even know like an out of fashion. It was different like the Satanic Panic than the Satanic Panic. You weren't like seen as like a druggy like weirdo or something. You were actually like out of fashion. Like
Yeah,
it's really weird
that
like,
was,
how it was.
which is interesting because that's when Slipknot, Mushroom Head, and Limp Bizkit were a thing in Corn. They were all made in 95, 96, I believe.
Yeah,
So, I
yeah.
mean, yeah. And then I think Disturbed was created either in 99 or 2000, one of the two.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there were some cool things that came out of the 90s, but I do agree with you because the Satanic Panic was, I believe, in 96. So, yeah, like I know then it was, which I don't know if Y2K, the fear of that had anything to do with it, but it might have. Um, you know, they were all worried that something bad was going to happen, and then who's going to blame something?
Oh yeah. With like Columbine and stuff. Yeah, it was pretty crazy time.
Yeah,
But yeah, it sucked being a metalhead because like I don't know. I kind of was in an alternative town though, so I kind of grew up there. So it kind of was worse
yeah,
for me probably than a lot of people that weren't in that kind of situation. So you just had to hide your metal. I mean, there was a while I didn't even wear metal shirts because I was like, I just remember
closet metalhead.
when Dave Ellefson cut his hair from Megadeth and wore like these preppy shirts. If you watch old interviews from like '97 or something, it's like, oh my god,
Yeah,
it just got really bad.
but yeah, yeah. Other than the fourth full length, we're looking at doing some other stuff too. So we've already drawn the blueprint for our fifth album.
Damn.
Oh yeah, man, it's going to be outstanding. It's going to be another concept album, but I'm really excited about that one. But we got to finish this one first. I'm excited about both projects, but I'm glad we have something to look forward to. And then we're looking at building a Twitch platform to do music reactions.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we're still trying to steadily get out in the community. So
you ever thought about doing like a video or like any kind of more conceptual, like full formed video with like a storyline and stuff like that, or?
So we are looking into that for one of our songs on this record. It's just going to be based on, can we find the guy to do it? Do we have the funds to do it? Which I think we do have the funds, so that should be fine. It's just finding the guy to do it and finding the time to really sit down and discuss what we want. But I think a concept album will be perfect for an actual music video. A song off of it. Yeah, yeah. So like I said, I mean, we discussed it. I've been searching the interwebs for someone that I can, well, one, trust, and two, I like his work, and three, we'll work together in a timely fashion. So that's not been not talked about, man. So that will either happen this record or next year.
That's cool. Yeah, that would be neat. I think more bands should do that. Actually, I mean, I know can't really think of more modern bands that have done a lot of that, but it's cool. I'm a big film person, so I always think about that too. So
well, I'm also glad to hear you like our music as well. It's good to make a fan out of people. So
yeah, I like that. I mean, it's just like there's so many influences in it that I hear. Like, I mean, it sounds unique. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like there's just so much variety with it.
Yeah.
Even for more extreme stuff, which is actually not very common. That's not very common, I'd say. Because like, I mean, I don't know of a lot of. I'm a little out of it. Like I said, a little bit more out of it than modern stuff. So I don't know. I'm a little.
That's all good though.
But I mean, what is the latest album I bought? Revocation. What else do I have?
Revocation's a good band.
Yeah, I think I do have some I do try to get to more modern stuff, but sometimes I'm stuck in whatever era, Sometimes it's
Yeah.
the 70s or the 1700s, So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
so I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of how it goes with me, but yeah, it's great stuff. Where can we find information about your band, and what are the best places to find the music and stuff?
So music, we are on all platforms except for Pandora. Yeah, there was issues getting us on Pandora, and I wasn't about to fight that fight. So,
Oh,
yeah. So, but we're on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Deezer, Tidal, you name it, we're on it. YouTube, Where the Children Play Official, Instagram, Where the Children Play Official. Um, like we said earlier, we are on Metal Archives, but we are not metalcore. I promise you.
yeah, no, I didn't think so.
No. I haven't sung about my girlfriend breaking up with me yet, so we're not there yet. And I think that's about it. Yeah, we built pretty good. We're up to almost 2,000 on Instagram. We just hit 1,000 listeners on Spotify. Um, we've got our top song, Blood Overture, has 25,000 listens. So, we do have that fan base, and I have a feeling that we will grow, and eventually we will get signed. But whether we get
Yeah, I
signed
think
or
so. I know you guys are going
whether
to
we
be
get
signed.
whether we get signed or we stay autonomous, we're still going to do what we do best.
Yeah.
And we'd love to get signed. Don't get me wrong, but we started this independent, and we've held our own. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And then Metal Nations merch has Where the Children Play merch. It goes USA, Canada, Mexico, even over to Europe and Asia. So, and Australia. So
That's awesome. Yeah, so I guess I'm going to probably wrap it up. So can't think of any more questions for that. I just like to have it all just kind of more. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I'm going to fit you in on this podcast. So, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Stay tuned for the fourth album. If you've not checked us out, please do go check us out. And I'm definitely going to be checking out your music as well, man. I love meeting new guys who are in the metal scene, and I love listening to their music and getting to understand where we are musically, because everyone has influences and different things that happen in their life to shape the music they write. So,
Oh yeah,
sure. Yeah. So, I find diamonds in the rough of everything. So, everyone
awesome.
has a story to tell, and they write it through their music. So,
I guess we got to conclude, and then I'll. So yeah,
that's
that
good.
was a great. It's great meeting you, and look forward to hearing more of your music. It's great stuff. I highly recommend it to everybody listening. So,
All right, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Well, I will definitely be reaching out once the album comes out. I'll reach out a month after, kind of let the album circulate, and let you give it a listen, and we'll discuss it then, and then we'll go on to what the future is for the fifth album.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I will be talking to you later. Have a good week.
I believe you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.